So I figured I would make a small video before I go see my recruiter today. Real basic stuff. I just want to talk about some of the stuff that I take to D&D. It's pretty interesting. Okay. So, obviously, everyone has their DM screen. Obviously. That's a must. Not only does it help you with the little, little information it gives you, like leveling up, difficulty checks, all that different stuff, status effects, standard action, move actions, all that stuff, food, all that crazy shenanigans, death, dying, all that stuff, like experience points for leveling up when your character's in the middle of your session have to ask you if they leveled up or not. I hate that. Obviously, Dungeon Master's Handbook, Player's Handbook. Obviously, it's for players, but the DM uses it just as much. Dungeon Master Guide. I would highly recommend this book. A guide that guides you in for being a game master, dungeon master, anything like that. For any campaign, I would advise you getting. This talks about non-combat encounters, adventures, the DM's Toolbox, which is a really interesting section they have in this book. The D&D world, running the game, combat encounters, and it really goes in depth on how to make every character feel like they're special and feel like how to utilize their character to the best of their abilities. Building encounters, rewards, treasure, quest, all that crazy shenanigans. So, next would be the Monster Manual. Your players have to have monsters to fight, obviously. Now, you don't want to just come up with them all on your top of your head, because chances are you're probably not going to make as good as monsters as there are in here. Now, yes, obviously final bosses should be homebrewed, make it a little more special, make it entertaining and pertinent to your campaign. But I actually have all three of them, and throughout them there, I'd say about 500 monsters. And like this as well, any other thing, Star Wars, it doesn't really, like I said before in a movie or video, doesn't really have a monster manual, but it gives you, obviously, it gives you characters to fend off and whatnot. But Pathfinder, really good monster manuals, lots of monsters, not only monsters, but just normal animals. Pathfinder's really good for that. Mutants and Masterminds gives, some character stat bases that you can base your monsters on and characters off and whatnot. So, that's pretty much, 3.5 obviously has their monster manuals, obviously. Okay, so you're just wanting, you're going to want to have a base book. If you don't want to buy all three of them, buy just one of them. The third monster manual for 4.0 is really high-level based monsters. If you're having a small campaign, you're really not going to use that one as much, because a lot of them are level 20 and higher, and a lot of the first player's handbook, or first monster manual, has level 10s below, level 5s below, crazy stuff like that. Most of them are really low level. There's some high ones though, like most of the monsters have a higher class, that things like hydras and dragons and whatnot, obviously they're going to be the huge monsters in the first one. The next thing you want to know, or want to have, this could go either way as a player or a dungeon master, you're going to want to have a notebook to write things down in. Definitely, for the player, you're going to want to write things down in. I know as a DM, you're going to have tons of papers flying all over the place because you're trying to keep track of what's going on. You're going to have them in different binders, different folders. You're going to have drawings, characters, little doodles that you've done in your head, jotting down ideas that just come up to your head before you forget them. But as a player, definitely going to want to write down locations you've been, things you've done, people you've met, those things that they've said, places they've told you to go, their names, all that kind of stuff. You'll definitely want to keep a very detailed thing. It's going to make the campaign a lot easier, and the next session, when your mind has forgot it all, you can look down and refresh your mind real quick, and you're back to go. You're ready to go again. As well, it makes the DM feel like you're actually paying attention to his story, and it just makes you look good overall. And the DM is probably going to favor your character in turn. As a DM, mine obviously has the players written down as player, character name, race, class, for all of my characters during the party. Then the next page I have locations, travel, places they've been, and next to it, to the left, is NPCs that they've met before. Now on the next page I have just doodles and whatnot, you know, crazy things like that. So then the next thing as a player that I carry around with me is this little thing. Okay, inside I have my dice bag, a normal pencil, drawing pencil, and a variety, mechanical pencil, mechanical pencil, mechanical pencil, mechanical pencil. And I made sure one of them has an eraser, because, you know, whatever. I have a pen, just in case, and 2 pens, actually. Lead, awesome, a drawing eraser, and a normal eraser. Good stuff. And for those people who can't do the addition and subtraction in their head real quick for damage and whatnot, I always bring my iPod with me just in case, you know, there's something that, if it's late at night and I'm not thinking right, I can add it up real quick, or if there's something that's just blowing my mind, I can add it up real quick. So, if you want to bring something, bring your phone, bring your iPod, anything like that, you know. I just gotta, sorry, I just got a text message. Anyway, so that's pretty much what you're going to want to bring. Obviously, with your dice sets, you're going to want to have a full set, obviously. Let me get this open real quick. I actually have a couple sets. I have a couple sets in my room, too. I have 4 sets in there. Just for players if they you know, don't bring their dice and whatnot. I actually have an elven set here. I don't know if you can see him. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's a white elven set. Then I actually have multiple sets. So that's a full polyhedron set. I have multiple D10s for obvious reasons. A couple D10s. D6s. I have a boatload of D6s. I got the mini ones. Boatloads of them. I have like about 6 or 7 of them here with me. And multiple D20s in case, because I assign different characters, different dice sets. Obviously, if I'm playing the DM, you know, I'll introduce this as, you know, maybe this is the Griffin, maybe this is the, you know, the Phoenix, you know, whatever. And then your players will know that when if you're rolling in front of them, or if they ask you to roll in front of them, then you can do so, and they know which one's which. Also, to keep track in my mind. Now, I have a couple D8s. D4s, I only have 2 of them. Well, actually, I have 3 of them in this, but I have a whole bunch more in the other room. D4s, obviously, you don't use them that much. I do it for certain things, like, you know, if I'm choosing which something this happens to, and I happen to have 4 players, then okay, I can just roll the D4, rolls a 2. Now you go around the table and you pick 2. That's the only thing I really use, you know, unless I'm playing a wizard in 4.0, because they have magic missile, which is, I believe, the same in 3.5 as well. I got up a couple D12s. Not that many D12s, because you barely ever use them, because your weapons barely ever do, you know, they barely ever do D12s. I mean, if they do, you're lucky. I mean, that's great. But so now that I brought all these dice out, but it's always good to have more dice than necessary. Now, I know a lot of people take your dice home with them. You know, you lose them, then you're like out, and you're just mad and angry. So you just gotta make sure every single session you have it before and you have it after. Let me put these away real quick. Like my friend, he had about you know, a dice stack about 3 times the size of this, full of dice, and it probably had to be like 50 dice in there. By the end of the campaign, all of them were gone. It was crazy. And then his brother had the same scenario happen to him, where he had a big bag of dice, and he lost them all as well. Now, that's pretty much all you need necessary. Obviously, you know, you just want to be ready. You should obviously mentally prep as getting a character, stuff like that, like you're going and in a play or something or whatnot. Mentally prep as to who your character is, what your character's done. Like I said, look over that sheet that you've hopefully jotted stuff. Understand what's been going on. You know where you're at, who you're with. Remember your party. Remember your party names, your fellow party members' names. That's another thing I want to say that real quick is always it makes it more interesting if you don't say if the guy next to you his name's Chris. Don't ever call him Chris. Call him by his real name. You know, by his character's name. I mean, it'll make the story seem more into it, and you really get into that character. Like, and then you know, Chris here, whatever his character's name is, he's gonna resort back, and he's gonna do the same thing as well. And it's gonna be really interesting because it'll actually be like your players are actually talking. You're gonna get more into it. You're gonna feel more comfortable because other people are doing it, and you know, so pretty much, yeah. But mentally preparing, yeah, you're just gonna want to do quite a bit of it before a session. Just real simple, real, you know, touch up on things, whatever you're playing. Like if you're playing Star Wars, know what planet you're on, know who sent you here, stuff like that. Refresh yourself on what your equipment is. Refresh yourself on what your powers are, your feats are, your talents are, and whatnot. If you gotta, I mean, you gotta remember if you have a vibroblade or a blaster. You never know, you know. So you gotta quickly review your stuff. Remember what you're doing, where you're at, who you've met, who you're with, why you're doing it, and what you're getting out of it. That's the best part. Anyway, I guess that concludes this. So, Dungeon Master's Guide for the DMs. Always want to have your notebook down. Always. For the DMs, Dungeon Master, or you know, your handbook, Dungeon Master Guide, and your monster manual. And don't forget your dice and whatnot, because when you show up at a D&D gathering, you're expected to have everything. I know a lot of people don't do that, and they say ask the DM for dice. I mean, that's perfectly fine, but that's just, you know, you should be able to do it yourself. Bring your own dice, bring your own pencils, bring your own erasers, stuff like that. Obviously, the next part that I want to discuss right before I leave is food. Always bring food. Always bring Mountain Dew. Always bring something like a bag of chips. Split it up between the party. Stuff like that. And, yeah, the DM should contribute a lot of that, I think. But, that's just me. So, anyway, I'm sure I'll make a new video soon of something. I don't know, I just haven't thought of it. So, see you later.